Welcome back to Without Shortcuts. Today we're doing an easy but elegant breakfast in bed with crepes 3 ways.
There are always a few days every year where breakfast in bed just totally fits the bill. You know, I mean, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, birthdays all certainly come to mind.
The common problem is that the person that breakfast in bed is being made for is the normal chef and cook in the house, which leaves everybody else in the house to scramble together and try and find something that fits, that's easy, and is still a great meal to be served to that special person on that day.
Absolutely, and crepes totally fit the bill for that. We're going to show you how easy crepes themselves are to put together, and then we'll also show you 3 different toppings or fillings that you can use with your crepes. So we'll show you strawberries and cream, kind of a lemon cream filling, and then kind of a crepe version of a breakfast burrito.
Let's get started. We're just going to go ahead and make the crepe batter itself. So we're going to start with just some flour. It helps if it's sifted just to make it light and airy, but it's certainly not required. And then to that, we are going to add just a little bit of sugar, more on that later, and just a little bit of salt, and whisk those together.
Once those are done, we're going to take 2 eggs and crack them into a bowl. And then we'll beat these. Okay, so those are going to go in with the flour.
We'll do just a quick mix on those. You don't want to get too much. You certainly don't want any gluten development. And then we will add our milk and our water. And we'll stir those together. Again, just until they come together.
And then the last 2 things that are going to go in are some melted butter and a little bit of vanilla. So the vanilla and the sugar are not part of a traditional French crepe batter, but in this case, you know, for what we're making today, it just adds a little bit of extra flavor and a little sweetness to your crepes.
And that's all there is to that. Now, this is not pancake batter, so it's going to be nice and thin. You don't want it to be thick, otherwise it won't spread over your pan evenly and it doesn't turn out. So nice and thin. And basically these are ready to go. There's no leavening that has to take place. It doesn't have to rise up, any of that. So it is fine to sit for a while. It won't be a problem at all. But at the same time, if you're ready to go, you can go ahead and start making these right off the bat.
Now when you're making these, it helps to get your fillings ready ahead of time so that as you're making your crepes, you can fill them when they're nice and warm. But just to kind of finish up what we've already started here, we're going to head over here and show you how to actually make your crepes.
So to cook your crepes, we're just going to use a cast iron griddle pan. Now, not everybody has a cast iron griddle pan. You can definitely do this in a non-stick skillet as well. We're going to show you how to do that as soon as we finish this. But this works perfectly. It's got nice low walls. You make sure that it's nice and warm and heated up in advance. So we're going to get some heat on it. I admit we did warm this up before we started this just for brevity's sake. We've got warm skillet. You can get enough butter on there that it'll fully coat the surface of our pan. You can see the bubbling butter. When that stops bubbling, you know your pan's ready to go. Hot skillet, plenty of butter, and you're just going to take just enough of your batter to just coat the very bottom. You don't want these to be thick. So just coat your griddle pan, pour some on there, and then you're just going to go in circles and spread your batter out into a nice thin layer. I'm just going to let it cook. You'll be able to see the outside start to dry just a little bit, and you'll see the top of it start to firm up. And when it does that, you'll know that you're done. And then as it firms up across the top, just like this, you can either try and be fancy and just flip it on the skillet, or a little easier, a little safer, just use your offset spatula, get it underneath, flip it over. And you just let that finish up. Then we'll go over, we'll put some toppings on it. This thing will be ready to go. So if you're doing your crepes in just a non-stick skillet instead of on the cast iron, a couple of things you want to make sure are in place. One, make sure it is in fact a non-stick skillet. The second one is make sure you use enough butter in the bottom of it, because they will stick and that makes everything really difficult. So we're going to get that in there. Get it on to like a medium heat to get that melting. And then the third thing is, when you put the batter in, you want to make sure that you only put enough in to cover the bottom of the pan. You don't want it to come up on the sides. You don't want it to kind of pile on itself. You want nice, thin, flexible crepes. Once your butter is melted and kind of stops bubbling, you have a nice little coating on the bottom of your pan. Just going to take a little bit of your batter. Like I said, only put enough that it's going to spread out and coat the bottom of your pan. And it's better to have too little than too much so that it stays nice and thin. And just let it sit. Just like with the cast iron, you can really see when these are finished cooking and everything looks like it's ready to be flipped. And just when you can kind of see that that top is starting to firm up a little bit, you can either use an offset spatula, or if you think you're really fancy, you can just try and flip it in the pan. Back on the heat, and just let it finish up. Crepes are great on their own, but really these are just a vehicle to deliver delicious toppings and fillings to your mouth more efficiently. So we're going to go ahead and make a couple of those, starting with a nice strawberries and cream filling and topping. So for the strawberries, all you need to do is just cut the stems off a couple, nice, loose slice in them. Then we're going to add a little bit of sugar to them. We'll stir those together, and then that's going to macerate. We'll let those sit for about 15 minutes or so together, and those will have a really nice, juicy texture, sweet, perfect filling.
And then a strawberries and cream filling obviously also needs cream. So we're going to take our handheld mixer, which hopefully somebody was thinking of you over the holidays and might have gotten you one as a gift. We're going to take some heavy cream, some sugar, some vanilla, and then just a little pinch of salt. Throw that in there, and then we're just going to mix that up until it starts to thicken up and has soft peaks. Okay, and that is ready to go.
We'll put that one aside, we'll make two more, and then we'll bring them all together.
So the next filling that we're going to make is kind of a traditional lemon and cheese filling. So we're just going to combine about equal parts of cottage cheese and softened cream cheese. And then we'll mix that in with a little bit of sugar and some lemon zest. Alright, so then we'll just mix all that together until it's combined and it'll be ready to go.
So this mixture in the end we will just put inside the crepes and roll them up, and then over the top of the crepes we'll use a little bit of the fresh squeezed lemon juice, and if you top that with just a little bit of warm maple syrup, you'll have something ready to go. So our final filling is something that's a little bit more substantial of a filling. It's almost like a crepe breakfast burrito, but it'll be a nice savory complement to our other fillings. We're going to throw this together using just some diced up thick cut ham, a little bit of cheese, a couple of eggs. Throw it all together, we'll be ready to go.
To make our filling, we're going to start off with a hot skillet. Just put some butter in there, let that melt. Okay, once that is melted, we're just going to put some ham in there. The ham's obviously already cooked, so we just need it to warm up a little bit. Once that is nice and warmed up here, we're gonna put the eggs in. Now you could also do this with bacon or sausage instead of ham, in which case you'd have to actually cook those all the way through before you put your eggs in. Season with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just kind of keep working those around, stir your eggs up. And those will cook pretty fast. They'll look just a little bit wet, and then those are pretty much done. So we're gonna take those off the heat. Put just a little bit of cheese on the top. And then that's ready to go. We've got our fillings made, and we've made a whole mess of crepes.
You know, just to put this in there, I had a whole mess of crepes.
So let's go ahead and put some of these together. Now, before we do that, if you're enjoying this video and hopefully learning something today, do us a favor, reach down there, give this video a thumbs up, and maybe subscribe to our channel. You'll really be helping us out. So for the first one, you're just gonna lay a crepe right onto your plate, and then we're gonna spoon some strawberries into it. So don't go crazy, you don't want to overfill it. All right, and then you can either roll it up or you can fold it, however you want to do it. I'm just gonna kind of roll it up like a little burrito here. And then we're just gonna top it with a little bit of whipped cream right there. And then if you like, you can put a few more strawberries on the top as a garnish, or maybe sprinkle some powdered sugar over the top of it.
And then you're just going to follow basically that same procedure for the next two. For our cheese and lemon filling, we're going to put that on the inside. Kind of get it spread out. You don't want to get too much. You don't want it to be overpowering. And then the same thing, we're just going to roll that up. And then don't forget, on the outside of that one, you want to do a little bit of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And then if you really want that added sweetness, you can put some like warm maple syrup on there, or again, a little bit of powdered sugar is a nice touch as well. But just like that is great also. And then finally, for the savory filling, the same story. You're just going to fill it with a little bit of the eggs and ham mixture that we made. You'll roll that up. And then if you want, you could top that with maybe some sour cream or a little bit of hot sauce. Kind of depends on how adventurous you and whoever it is you decided to make breakfast in bed for that day are feeling. But you'll be all set. So we're going to go ahead and taste a couple of these and see what we've made.
All right. Man, so now like we said at the beginning of the video, you know, crepes are kind of a delivery system for the fillings, and all these fillings are fantastic. But especially with these two sweet crepes, having that little bit of sugar and the vanilla in there goes so well and just really complements those kind of fruity, you know, sweeter fillings that we've got.
And then with the savory filling, because, you know, you have that saltiness from the ham and the eggs are nice, like that, you don't even really notice the vanilla so much, so it's not a hindrance by any means. But it does still add just that little bit of sweetness that brings it up and lets you know that you're eating something for breakfast. It's really, all of these are really nice combinations. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were serving crepes to a larger gathering of people, you could certainly set this up as like a crepe bar, have all your cooked crepes on one end, all your toppings and fillings kind of paired together going down the line. And you could just let everybody there go through, make their crepes up however they wanted, make sure that everybody's cravings are satisfied perfectly. Or if you're just making it for that one person that's getting the breakfast in bed for that day, just pick what they like, make it up, a little bit smaller batches, serve it up nice and warm, guaranteed to satisfy.
So there are obviously a ton of different options for fillings when you're making crepes. Hopefully, you know, this is at least a good starting point for you. Give these a try. Let us know down in the comments kind of what some of your favorite fillings are, and you know, maybe that'll give us a chance to try something new out. So until the next time, skip the shortcuts and we will see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.